You've been told to just breathe, meditate, or even force a smile when you're stressed. But what if that advice, the stuff we've all been told for years, isn't the full story? What if it could actually be making your stress worse? For too long, we've been given a playbook of quick fixes that promise calm, but mostly just lead to frustration. You try to take a deep breath when you're panicking, and suddenly you feel even more anxious. You try to clear your mind for meditation, but the thoughts just get louder. You finally go on that vacation you desperately need, only to feel the same crushing weight of stress hit you the second you get back. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not broken. The advice is, much of it is based on a flawed or incomplete understanding of how stress actually works in our bodies. So, let's expose the myths and get into the science-backed strategies that can actually calm your nervous system for good. Let's start with the most common advice ever. Just take a deep breath. While deep breathing is scientifically proven to be an effective tool for managing stress for many people by activating our rest and digest nervous system, the way this advice is given is often too simple. When you're in a full-blown state of anxiety or panic, your body is swimming in stress hormones like cortisol. You feel agitated, restless. Being told to suddenly sit still and focus on something as basic as breathing can feel impossible. Trying to force a deep, slow breath when your body is screaming for the opposite can trigger hyperventilation or make you obsess over your physical symptoms, which only cranks up the anxiety. Then comes the self-judgment. I can't even breathe right. What's wrong with me? The issue isn't breathing itself, but the oversimplified advice. A single, forced gasp for air can feel unnatural and just tell your nervous system to stay on high alert. The intention is good, but in a moment of intense stress, just breathe often isn't enough. Next up, meditation. It's sold as the ultimate cure for our overcaffeinated, constantly buzzing minds. And let's be clear, research consistently shows that practices like mindfulness have real benefits for anxiety and depression. But the myth is that meditation is a perfect, one-size-fits-all, instant fix. The reality is a lot more complicated. Forcing yourself to sit in silence when your mind is racing can feel less like therapy and more like torture. It takes time and practice to learn how to observe your thoughts without getting swept away by them. For beginners, or for anyone in a highly agitated state, it can quickly feel like you're failing when your mind doesn't go blank. While generally safe, some studies have noted that meditation can sometimes lead to an increase in anxiety or unwanted memories for some individuals. Meditation is a powerful tool, but it's a long-term practice for building mental resilience, not an emergency brake for a panic attack. Thinking of it as a magic pill that will instantly deliver a state of zen is a misunderstanding that sets people up for disappointment. It's a skill you develop over time, not a switch you can just flip. Finally, let's talk about the idea that you can run away from your stress. "I just need a vacation" is the battle cry of the burnt out. But while a week on a beach feels great, it's a bandage, not a cure. The myth is that a vacation will solve chronic stress. The problem is, you're not escaping your stress. You're just temporarily changing your location. Burnout comes from prolonged stress, usually tied to your work, your life, your responsibilities. A vacation takes you out of that environment, but it doesn't change the reasons you're stressed in the first place. You might feel amazing for a week, but the mountain of emails, the demanding job, and the unresolved issues are all waiting for you when you return. This is why the post-vacation blues are so common. The escape doesn't fix the root problem. It just highlights how bad the problem really is. Lasting relief comes from changing the daily things that cause stress, not from taking a brief break from them. So if the most common advice has its flaws, what actually works? Let's look at the solutions that target the real, physiological roots of stress and offer relief that sticks. When you feel stressed and agitated, your body is in fight or flight mode. It's primed for action. So, the last thing it wants to do is sit still. One of the best ways to complete that stress cycle is to embrace movement. Exercise is one of the most powerful, evidence-based stress relievers we have. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which are natural mood elevators. More importantly, regular physical activity helps lower your baseline levels of the stress hormone cortisol over time, making you more resilient to future stress. It gives you a physical outlet for all that nervous energy and tension. It's like a form of meditation in motion that pulls your mind out of that looping cycle of worried thoughts. You don't need to run a marathon. A brisk 20-minute walk, dancing in your kitchen, or some simple stretching can be incredibly effective at discharging that pent-up energy and calming you down. So, when you feel too restless to relax, try moving first. Okay, let's go back to breathing, but with a specific, science-backed technique that actually works to calm you down in the moment. It's called the physiological sigh. You've already done it dozens of times today without realizing it. It's a natural breathing pattern our bodies use to hit the reset button on the nervous system. Research from neuroscientists like Stanford's Andrew Huberman has shown you can consciously use this to quickly dial down stress. Here's why it works. Our lungs have tiny air sacs called alveoli, which can collapse when we're stressed, making our breathing shallow and increasing anxiety. The physiological sigh pops them back open. It involves a double inhale through the nose, followed by a long, slow exhale through the mouth. The first inhale fills your lungs, and that quick second inhale on top inflates the remaining alveoli. This allows you to offload carbon dioxide efficiently, which sends a powerful calming signal to your brain. Let's try it. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Now, at the very top, sneak in another short inhale. Then, let it all out with a long, slow exhale through your mouth. Just one or two of these can bring an immediate sense of relief. It's not just breathing, it's a targeted reset for your nervous system. Before we get to the final, and maybe most important, strategy, I want to hear from you. What's the worst stress relief advice you've ever gotten? Drop it in the comments below. The last strategy isn't a technique, it's a total shift in how you think about stress. We're taught that stress is the enemy, that it's always bad, but that's a myth. The truth is, stress is a natural and even essential part of a meaningful life. The key is knowing the difference between distress, which is the negative, overwhelming feeling we hate, and eustress, which is positive, motivating stress. Eustress is the feeling you get before a big presentation, a first date, or a tough workout. It sharpens your focus, boosts your performance, and helps you grow. Both types of stress release the same hormones, like cortisol and adrenaline, but it's your perception that decides if it feels like a threat or a challenge. When you believe you have what it takes to handle something, that stress can be a force for good. So the goal isn't to get rid of stress. That's impossible. The goal is to change your relationship with it. When you feel the physical signs of stress, your heart racing, your breath quickening, instead of thinking, "Oh no, I'm so stressed," try reframing it as, "My body is getting ready to meet this challenge." Studies show that just seeing your stress response as helpful, rather than harmful, can dramatically change its effect on you. This mindset shifts you from being a victim of your stress to someone who can actually harness its energy. So, let's put the bad advice to rest. The frustrating cycle of trying and failing with generic tips can end today. Instead of just trying to breathe, use the targeted power of the physiological sigh to actively calm your nervous system. Instead of forcing yourself to sit still when you're agitated, give your body the movement it's asking for to burn off that tension. And most importantly, instead of seeing stress as your enemy, reframe it as the energy your body is giving you to rise to an occasion. You don't need a magic fix or an escape. You have the power to change how stress affects you by working with your body's natural systems, not against them. It's about building a toolkit of strategies that are grounded in real science, so you can feel empowered, not defeated, when life gets messy. You have more control than you've been led to believe.